waiting. We gotta go. I'll get my car. I brought mine. Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Discussions. So, the Ayer Cut. There's been some things on my mind for a while with some way certain things have been moving. Things that I need to get off my chest. And when I decided to go live today, some potential news came out about WBD being sold. So, we're going to be discussing two major topics today. The Ayer Cut and this potential sale of WBD. And before I bring on today's guests, just say hi to the chat. What up, Dennis? Hey, Qatar. Or, I'm sorry, Dr. Qatar. One Punch Dan. And what's up, the Curly Ray? It was a great stream with you last week, and really excited to see some pictures for tomorrow's convention. So, this guy needs no introduction. Director of One Punch Dan. Please welcome Zodwriter. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing okay. It's good to see you, One Punch Dan, and hello to everybody in the chat.
And really, it's really great to see you too, Zod. Really excited to talk this today, talk about some of this craziness that's been going on, and with a sliver of hope. So we'll see. And yep, Dennis, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But before we get into our topics, this is a Bat Dan's Thoughts stream, the show Bat Dan's Thoughts. So we know, we can't talk about any topic without talking the 1PDCU. So I tried showing this clip last week, but I forgot that Firefox StreamYard doesn't play sound when you share clips. Really annoying. So we're going to try this again because I switched to a different browser, so hopefully you can hear the sound. So let's see.
It's being called the battle for humanity's destiny. Who will win, One Punch Dan or Issa Gang? Place your bets.
I told you before, I only need one punch.
I told you before, I am everything.
Who do you think is going to win in the battle for humanity's destiny, One Punch Dan or Issa Gang?
It's going to end in a draw.
Are you kidding? Issa Gang is going to clean the pavement with One Punch Dan easily.
All right, could you guys hear the sound this time?
Yeah, it kept like clipping and breaking up a little bit, maybe because of the connection or whatever. I don't know, but could definitely hear the sound.
Okay, well, I'll put the link in the description to the full undoctored clip, faulty clip, but yes, One Punch Stand coming 2026, where One Punch Stand is going to clean the floors with Isage and Just Josh. When One Punch Stand will hopefully show Just Josh what a little bitch he is.
Well, there's definitely some stuff happening with One Punch Dan and Just Josh in this movie. So I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I'm pretty excited. The movie is coming along great, and people that have had an opportunity to watch the first 45 minutes of the movie seem to be pretty excited and satisfied with the direction that the movie's going. And I'm very happy to have gotten some feedback. I had a friend of mine over a couple days ago, and she got a chance to watch the movie and was super excited, super excited with it, super excited with her character. So a lot of people are, really getting hyped for One Punch Dan. So it's just nice. It's nice to get some positive feedback, and just to get any feedback in general, actually, other than people complaining about AI.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you're getting really nice feedback on it. And for those of you who don't know, I've told Zod I don't want to see the first 45 minutes because I want to see the whole thing from beginning to end and be surprised. I've even had to tell Zod, nope, don't tell me about the ending. Nope, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Shut up, Zod. I want to be surprised. So
Right. You didn't even want to see, because I've got there's 2 post-credit scenes in the movie, and you didn't want to even see the post-credit scenes. So it's cool though. It's good though, because you'll be surprised when it comes out. You'll be able to enjoy it from beginning to end.
exactly, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So, which is funny, not many leads of movies can say that. Most leads of the movie have seen at least part of the movie because they had to act in it. Not me though. I was able to act in the movie without doing any work whatsoever. And what up,
Yeah,
Corey Sims? I think this is the first time we've seen you. So welcome. And oh boy, Sin Havoc. Oh, you'll have
Sin Havoc definitely has a role in One Punch Dan for sure.
Oh yeah. And he keeps posting these dots. What the? Hold on. Did you DM me something or just? Okay, you didn't DM me anything, but yep. So, well, and I think you're gonna say, well, one more time. Yep. So, but guys, check out One Punch Dan 2026, and pretty soon after, Super Main Hood Legacy.
Yeah, that'll be coming as well, and there's a lot on the horizon. I'm not done. One Punch Dan is just the beginning.
I cannot wait. This is one cinematic universe I am excited for. And oh, well, thank you. Hey, I always like the good lurkers. I always like a good lurker. As long as you're not posting shit about me behind my back, all lurkers are welcome. So now, let's get to it. Let's get ready to get this over with, Zod.
Yeah.
Okay. Ayer Cut. Part of the DCU? This is a question that I've been wondering about because for a while, and I'm going to kind of break a rule on my channel, is that I try not to go after accounts because I don't like doing that. I think it's tacky. I think it's not a good. I don't like doing stuff like that. I'm making an exception this time because one, the account's large enough, and two, they represent something very important: the Ayer Cut. They've been doing some kissing up to James Gunn, and I've not personally agreed with it. But I'm like, you know what? If this is what you believe is the way to get the Ayer Cut, then do it. I don't agree with it. I won't support it, but you do your thing. and we'll do ours. That's kind of my motto with this stuff. And oh yes, I agree, Osa Fresh. I agree. And let me just share my screen real quick because this came out. So Ayer Cut is asking, James Gunn makes mention of these characters and events take place in only the David Ayer Cut of Suicide Squad and labels them canon. David Ayer Cut is alive in the DCU. Whoa. This is what the Ayer Cut has said. And I was going to play the clip, but I don't know if I'm going to get a copyright strike if I do that. I know it's just an interview. It shouldn't matter. But what I did do is I posted the clip in like this post to what the Ayer Cut posted. Ayer Cut account posted in the description. So you can check out exactly what James Gunn said. But basically, he mentions the Enchantress, I can't even say that word, wow, relationship, which happened in David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Now, the way I interpreted James Gunn's comment was not the Ayer Cut as in David Ayer's Suicide Squad, more of David Ayer's Suicide Squad movie as opposed to James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. Because, he is James Gunn. Joel Kinnaman, that's his name, Zod? Joel Kinnaman?
Yeah.
I'm bad at pronouncing stuff. Sorry, people. But anyways, he was in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, so he's going to keep as much of that stuff canon as possible. And when he said David Ayer's Suicide Squad, he was just talking about an event that happened in his movie, because James Gunn's doing this half-canon shit. So he's not saying the Ayer Cut is canon to the DCU. That's how I interpreted it. I don't know. What do you think, Zod?
No, he's just cherry picking things that he came up with. See, James Gunn likes to keep his own stuff. He's keeping characters and events that tie in with the characters that he's using. So that's all this is about.
Exactly. 100%. And here's my thing. The Ayer Cut cannot be canon to the DCU. Okay? It can be an Elseworld, sure, but not canon to the DCU. Because the Ayer Cut leads into Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyderverse. You have Ben Affleck as Batman in the movie. You have Jared Leto as Joker in the movie, and I can guarantee you Gunny Poo is not going to use Jared Leto in his DCU.
Right.
Okay? So to make it fit, and it leads into Zack Snyder's Justice League again. So to make it fit into the DCU, David Ayer would have to refilm a lot of scenes. He would have to refilm all of Ben Affleck's scenes, take him out of the movie, all of Jared Leto's scenes, take him out of the movie, change the ending of the movie to lead into the DCU, and would very likely have to put some jokes in there to fit in the DCU timeline. Which at that point, is it even the Ayer Cut at that point? Because we already got that compromise cut. Studio Squad, or as they call it, Suicide Squad, back in 2016. We saw the compromise cut. And you know what? At least that one feels like it could fit in the Snyderverse. The movie that David Ayer intended to fit the movie in. The universe David Ayer intended to fit the movie in. Whereas some weird compromise cut will not. But anyway, Zod.
Well, that's kind of irrelevant because it's not like James Gunn is going to let David Ayer go back and refilm and make changes and all that. He's not going to do any of that. So these people that are now holding out, that want to see the Ayer Cut so badly and are holding out hope that it's going to somehow match up to be in the DCU, are just deluding themselves. Because and I'm honestly surprised that the Ayer Cut account would take this type of positioning, because it makes no sense. It's delusional. That's got about as much chances of happening as they got of Zack Snyder coming in and directing Man of Tomorrow for James Gunn. There's just it doesn't make any, none of it makes any sense. Like I get that you want to see the Ayer Cut, but the Ayer Cut is completed. The Ayer Cut is done. And the only way you're going to see it is if James Gunn releases it. But I think that if James Gunn was no longer in charge, I think if these companies were no longer, if it's a new company that were to take over, there might be a chance for David Ayer, and there might be a chance for the Ayer Cut to get released if you want to look at it optimistically. But the people that are somehow championing the idea of the Ayer Cut fitting in with the DCU, I don't know what they're smoking, because wouldn't that mean that Ben Affleck's Batman is canon to James Gunn's DCU? That would mean that you are, and to be honest with you, the silhouette of Batman in the Creature Commandos cartoon looked a lot more like Ben Affleck's Batman than it did Robert Pattinson or any other Batman for that matter. It looked an awful lot like Affleck's Batman as far as like the build and stuff was concerned. So I don't know. I mean, that would be one hell of a development, which we know is not going to happen because, Ben Affleck has come out and publicly stated that he doesn't want to be a part of James Gunn's DC. So that won't work. And
Absolutely not.
The Ayer Cut of Suicide Squad, the Ayer Cut account has to know this. The Ayer Cut of Suicide Squad has more of Ben Affleck's Batman and has more of Jared Leto's Joker, has different scenes. So what are you talking about fitting it into the DCU? The only way I could see there being a place for, and this is, for there being a place for the Ayer Cut to fit in would be because of the pocket universe stuff that James Gunn is doing with Superman and Peacemaker, where there's, other universes that certain characters have access to. And you could somehow make a convoluted plot line where the Ayer Cut takes place in that universe. Like they still have access, like the Snyderverse still exists, but it's just another universe, and they have access to it, and they can tell stories from it from time to time. And maybe you could somehow shoehorn it in that way, but if you're going to do that, then you're helping the Snyderverse. So it's a convoluted kind of a thing. I don't think it'll work. And James Gunn's ego is never going to allow him to do something like that because he absolutely despises the Snyderverse and the Snyder fandom. He loves Zack Snyder, though. He's like Zack Snyder's biggest fan, but he hates all of us. So there's no way he would ever do anything like that, ever. There's no way.
Exactly. And it's what I've said before. If Gunny Poo was going to release David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, the time to have done that was during the last phase of the DCEU, in between the Flash movie and Blue Beetle, or in between Blue Beetle and Aquaman Lost Kingdom. That was the time to do it. And, Zod, it's just so stupid that people are going that. And, okay, Sin Havoc, I'll check my messages. It sounds like you're sending me something to see. Okay, I will play this image, and I will show this image soon. This was a last-minute thing I did, and for those who noticed, I'm singing, so you can guess who's in the chat. Socks Bulletins. What up, Socks? So sorry about that. Sin Havoc just sent me. Okay, I swear. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to share my screen because I think that's just going to be easier than trying to save the image. But this is what you were referring to, Zodwriter, that Sin Havoc just sent me. Right here,
Yeah.
this Batman. This is the Batman cameo for Creature Commandos.
Yep.
And that does look a lot like Batfleck, I will say that.
Yep.
So
maybe James Gunn was hoping that there would be a way to entice Ben Affleck to be willing to work within the confines of the DCU. But I mean, otherwise I don't see how they could do it. They'd at the very least, he would probably have to make Ben Affleck's Batman in the DCU if you want to canonize the Ayer Cut. But that would also mean you'd have to canonize Jared Leto's Joker. And as you know, those of you that are aware, Jared Leto and James Gunn do not like each other very much. There's a big problem between the two of them. So that's another reason I don't see James Gunn. That's probably one of the main reasons that James Gunn, they did not release the Ayer Cut, because James Gunn doesn't like Jared Leto.
yeah, exactly. And
So
you're right. You're right, Socks. Yeah, exactly, Zod. And like you were saying something before the stream started that I really liked. It's like it'd be like if we were fighting for the Snyder Cut, and we were still fighting for the Snyder Cut, and we were accepting that as part of the DCU.
yeah, could you imagine the changes that would have to be made in order for that to fit into the DCU? It really, honestly, though, this pocket universe storyline that Gunn has going on, as convoluted as it is, makes things like that possible, because you could literally have a pocket universe for pocket universes for Elseworlds stories happening within the DCU framework. You could do that, but it would just confuse, again, just like the topic, more canon confusion. There's just it's a lot of nutty stuff that James Gunn is doing right now. There's a lot of confusing things that are going on. That show Peacemaker makes no sense whatsoever. It is all over the place. The narrative is crazy. I don't, so I don't know, man. I mean, if James Gunn is going to give David Ayer money to go back and refilm certain scenes so that he could fit the Ayer Cut into the DCU, I'll believe it when I see it. As for the Ayer Cut, Twitter page telling people, championing that idea, please understand that's just a theory. That's just fans theorizing a way that it can happen, but it doesn't make sense. And thematically, it would never work. If it were going to get released, it would just have to get released as its own separate project. It wouldn't be able to be released as part of the DCU. And let's not forget that James Gunn still wants Robert Pattinson to be Batman. And that's the thing that nobody really wants to talk about anymore, but it's true. He still wants to somehow fold Matt Reeves as Batman into the DCU.
Exactly, Zod. And it's not going to work, guys. It's not, which again would be another Batman, which would be two different Batmen in one universe, supposedly, if that happened. If both the Ayer Cut being part of the DCU happened and the Batverse being part of the DCU happened. Okay, yeah, not surprised. And you know what? The two never have to work together ever again. Ayer Cut's already filmed, so the two never have to see each other again. But yeah, I'll say this: it just creates more canon confusion. Even just even just making the studio part of the studio cut canon, part of events of that canon adds to the confusion. But that's what James Gunn does.
Well, what started all of this was when he canonized some things that happened in Studio Squad. When he cannibalized some things that happened in the Suicide Squad, David Ayer, theatrical cut. When he canonized certain things surrounding his characters, that's when all this confusion started, because he said that Rick Flag and his relationship with the Temptress, or whatever the hell she was,
Enchantress.
Enchantress, that relationship is canon. And when he said that, that's what started all of this, because it's like, well, if that's canon, then what else is canon? Because you can't have this without that and this without that. James Gunn's just creating a big mess. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, it was all just to keep his wife employed as Harcourt. That's all this was about. Because he doesn't, keep his wife and his brother working and a few of his friends. That's all that this is about. He's not trying to, because it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to reboot, you reboot. That means getting rid of the crap that you made too, because it doesn't fit now. Because now you have all of these things that don't make sense. And then he's saying, well, I couldn't go back and retcon the end of Peacemaker season 1 because it would have been too expensive to go back and retcon it. Well, what do you mean? You reshot the scene. You reshot the scene with the Justice Gang for the recap of season 1 for season 2. So why didn't you just attach that to the end of go in and edit your last episode of season 1 and just swap out the Justice Gang, swap out the Justice League for the Justice Gang? What would have been so difficult about it? I don't understand. James Gunn, you run the studio, so why would it have been a problem?
Yeah, it's not like they're putting out a lot of projects right now.
I mean, if you want to retcon something, then go back and retcon it. You had the balls to keep your Peacemaker crappy TV show, then you should have had the balls to go back and retcon the end of season 1 with the Justice Gang. But I think you know what it has more to do with? I think more than anything else, I think it has more to do with money than anything else, because you got to pay the Justice Gang actors for that last episode of Peacemaker season 1. You got to retroactively go back and pay them if you're going to use that footage for the end of season 1. That's a whole separate contract. And he probably didn't want to do that because Warner Brothers has no money, allegedly. So that's probably why. But he should have just said that then. Well, we didn't have the money to pay the actors to go back and reshoot the ending of season 1. But you did. You retconned it by putting it at the beginning of season 2. So I don't get it, James Gunn. If you're going to go all in, go all in. You sure had no problem going all balls deep with your orgy that lasted 3 episodes. Full frontal nudity. And I mean, come on.
And hold on, Sin Havoc. Hold on. We are getting there. But yeah, exactly, Zod. Exactly. It's just, now I have not watched season 2. I refuse to watch season 2, but I've seen clips. I've heard stuff. It's
just, I cannot believe that this is what passes for DC nowadays. I just don't get it.
Like, haircut stream? I don't get it. What's Josh going on about? Did I spell Ayer Cut wrong? Did I pronounce Ayer Cut wrong? Maybe. Who knows? But
yeah, we need a, well, maybe Ayer Cut should be a style of haircut. I mean, That would be better than what his Twitter page is trying to say now. I'd have more respect for them now if it were to come out as a haircut.
Oh, wait a minute.
One Punch
I
Tomo.
was texting just Josh on my Apple Watch with voice text. That's probably what happened. I said Ayer Cut, and the Apple Watch probably heard. Oh, yep. No, I did say that. He's right.
Combo.
I'm sorry, just Josh. We have a new rule. Loser superheroes are not allowed in this chat. There are no loser superheroes allowed in the chat. But anyways, you're talking about David Ayer's Twitter page, and so even though I kind of threw some shade at the Ayer Cut account, I am posting one of their posts as sources because this was a story on David Ayer's Instagram. Obviously, stories aren't on. They go away after a while. So I cited the Ayer Cut account's post. So here, let me remove the banner. So here's one post by David Ayer on Instagram. And here is another post from David Ayer. So basically, he's talking about answering. I can't even talk right now. He's answering some guy's comment about Deadshot and Batman, and he's talking about the scene that he did shoot, which sounds very intriguing. Wish you could see the scene as shot. There's a lot going on. It's rich and emotional. Perhaps by arresting her father, Batman believes he's sparing her worst trauma, or perhaps his own traumatic past. Batman doing what many hurt people do. He's leaving wreckage behind him. And okay, hold on. Let me see if David Ayer is saying anything else. Should have caught that, but okay. So the link to the post is in the chat. But what many hurt people do. He's leaving wreckage behind him without being aware. Batman has operated at the edge. Does he fight and arrest bad guys to protect his wounded inner child? Is he just reenacting the past? I love this kind of debate. So now, this post, again, just leaving hype, but doesn't look like Jared Leto that much, honestly. It looks a lot like Margot Robbie, but I don't know why. That doesn't really look like Jared Leto to me.
It's probably just the way the post is positioned. The way that the photo is framed.
So, Zod, I have to ask, are you going to be incorporating this stuff in the One Punch Man series now?
What?
The haircut stuff?
No.
Okay. But the other thing that David Ayer himself posted on Instagram, it looks very interesting. It sounds very interesting what he's saying, very philosophical. I really love it.
But that's the reason why the account should continue campaigning for the Ayer Cut as it exists, not the Ayer Cut as it could be if it gets converted and folded into the DCU. Those would be two totally different things.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny, David Ayer keeps posting stuff about the Ayer Cut, which it was interesting at first in 2022. The problem is it's been 3 years now, and he's still posting about the Ayer Cut. I'm like this. I want to see something actually happen. I don't want to hear about the Ayer Cut. I want to see the Ayer Cut. Yeah,
it sounds like the Ayer Cut could use the thumb drive in the bathroom treatment that Zack Snyder mentioned several years ago. Because in all honesty, I feel like that's the only way we're going to see it under the current circumstances.
Well, there may be some other circumstances we could see it soon, but we'll get into that a little later in the stream. But
no, but I'm saying if they wanted us to see it right now, that's what would happen. You'd have to have it. Yeah. You'd have to have it leaked somehow, and then have it uploaded to the internet, and then there you go.
Exactly. But David Ayer, you need to do more than just post about the Ayer Cut. You gotta step up a little bit. No more kissing up the Gunny Poo. No more doing that. Just fight for your cut.
But the Ayer Cut account is not helping matters by championing the idea of the Ayer Cut being folded into the DCU. That's the whole problem. Don't do that. Stay on target. Stay on course. Don't compromise now. If you do that now you're compromising. Why are you compromising? Because if you do that, you're not going to see the Ayer Cut the way it was intended. You're going to see the Ayer Cut through a bastardization lens that James Gunn is going to do. And you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that the Ayer Cut remains intact the way David Ayer intended. Period.
100%. And this leads me to the next question, the next topic. Is the Ayer Cut worth fighting for? At this point, with everything that's happened, with the account, with David Ayer, is it worth fighting for? We'll start with you, Zod. What's your opinion?
I still want to see it. But like I said, I want to see David Ayer's original vision. I don't want to see a bastardized DCU version. And I don't want there to just be another cut that gets folded into the DCU. So if they're going to be fighting for that, then no, it's not worth fighting anymore, because now you're fighting for a compromise. There was a reason why Release the Snyder Cut was successful. Release the Snyder Cut was successful because everybody rallied around Release the Snyder Cut. They didn't constantly try to change the hashtags. They didn't constantly try to change the meaning of certain things and confuse the issue of what they were fighting for. It was Release the Snyder Cut from the beginning, and it was Release the Snyder Cut up until the point when the frickin' Snyder Cut finally got released. And the Ayer Cut needs to be a pure battle for that movie. So if you're gonna fight for that movie, I say, yeah, it's always going to be worth fighting for. But the problem is, it's the way that things have been going. It's the way that, David Ayer's gone about certain things. It's the way David Ayer's account is, Release the Ayer Cut account has been handling things. You have to be smart about this. If you want to get what you're fighting for, you got to stay on course. And these people asking for it to be folded into the DCU are throwing the whole thing into jeopardy. They're throwing it off course. That's so off kilter. I don't even know what to say, because now I don't know what they're fighting for. Are you fighting for the Ayer Cut, or do you just want to see bits and pieces of it folded into whatever this thing is that James Gunn is doing?
Yes. And my exact sentiments, honestly. To me, the way that the current Ayer Cut campaign is going right now is not worth fighting for, because I'm not fighting for another compromise. We got Studio Squad, and honestly, I enjoy Studio Squad as a movie. So if we're gonna fight for a compromise cut, just show me the 2016 version. That'll just
right. That's the problem, though, right? That's the problem. What they're asking for now essentially makes the 2016 version of Studio Squad the de facto version, because at least that version is going to be truer to what Ayer wanted to do than what a DCU folded version would be.
Yes, exactly.
I don't get it, Dan, at all. I'm confused by that direction.
Oh yeah, same here. When I saw that, I'm like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And to me, here's my thought with fighting for the Ayer Cut. I, like you, Zod, I want to see the Ayer Cut. I still want to see the real Ayer Cut, the true Ayer Cut. But here's the thing. At first, I thought the Ayer Cut was the next step to get in the Snyderverse. I did. But at this point, it's not. To me, the Batfleck movie, Z is Jail 2 and 3, and then the Ayer Cut. That's where I'm at this point. Because here's the thing. unlike these other movies, the Ayer Cut's already filmed. I'm not worried about the actors getting older. I'm not worried about the actors quitting acting. I'm not worried. I mean, I would still feel bad if an actor died just because it's always sad when a person dies. But in terms of the Ayer Cut, I wouldn't even be worried if an actor died. That wouldn't even matter in that context because it's already filmed. It's already there. So let's get some of these other movies out that aren't filmed, and then we can get the Ayer Cut to help with that, because that's part of the Snyderverse. You can add as another part of the Snyderverse. That's the Ayer Cut's best chance, is with the rest of the Snyderverse. But the Ayer Cut is its own thing. At this point, I'm done with that, because I don't like the way the account's been moving. I don't like the way that this constant tease of David Ayer, oh, maybe this post means something. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. And look, Ayer Cut account, I wish you guys the best. I really do. But I don't agree with the way you're going this right now. That's how I feel. Okay? So good luck with everything moving forward. I'm not going to crash your trending events. I don't encourage people to go after them. I'm just giving my opinion about a post that they did. They're the leader of the Ayer Cut movement, basically. So their actions affect the entire movement. And I don't feel like, I'm sure it was Sin Havoc, but until I see I wouldn't be surprised. But, but the way that you guys are moving right now, not a campaign I can be a part of. I'm still going to fight for the Ayer Cut, but in my own way. As part of the Snyderverse, which sells the SGL to Netflix, sells Snyderverse to Netflix, which I'll get into that a little more about that part later. But anyways, before we move on to the next part of this stream, I wanted to bring this up because this kind of is building blocks to another issue with DC. The Penguin wins 8 Emmys. And here, let me move this banner out of the way. Contemporary makeup, prosthetic makeup, contemporary costumes for a limited or anthological series or movie, contemporary hairstyling. Okay, Josh, there you go. There's your hair-related stream right here. That's what I meant, Josh. This is what I meant right here when you said haircut stream. I meant this, because we're going to be talking about one of the Emmys that Penguin won. That's what happened, Josh. I was thinking ahead a little bit, okay? Sorry. Anyways, special visual effects in a single episode, sound editing for a limited or anthology series, movie, or special, sound mixing for a limited or anthology series or movie, music composition for a limited or anthological series, movie, or special, original dramatic score. So let me just take this out of the way. And what up, Necron? Thanks for stopping by. But Zod, what's your thoughts of the Penguin series winning all these Emmys?
It doesn't mean anything because James Gunn didn't come up with it, so James Gunn doesn't care about it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk about that very soon, but I just want to say real quickly before we get into that part, I would say, look, I'm not big on award shows. They're kind of just whatever to me, but I'm so proud of the Penguin for winning some awards because it was a good show. The show blew my expectations out of the water. I didn't think the Batman was really that great, so I was surprised to really like the Penguin series as much as I did, but right. I said it before, I'll say it again. After seeing this Penguin series, the showrunner of that, she should be writing the Batman Part 2. And she should be directing the Batman Part 2, honestly. Because I think that would be a really great movie. If she was in charge.
Yeah, in fact, there's no reason in this world why Penguin shouldn't be continuing and shouldn't be its own thing. I don't understand in what world, okay, Peacemaker, that is just pure garbage and nobody watches, that gets a season 2, that gets greenlit. James Gunn, just does whatever he wants, and a show like Penguin, as successful as it was, just gets ignored and gets, thrown under the bus like everything else. I don't understand what these shareholders are thinking, allowing this person to continue to green light his sick, perverted, pornographic fantasies in DC Comics. I don't understand it. get it at all. I feel like he not only is doing a disservice to the brand, but all the people that are good, that actually have talent, like this Penguin series, everybody suffers because we got this narcissistic pissant in charge of everything. It's ridiculous.
Yes. And to add to that, Zod, what is James Gunn's position in DC again? What is it? Just refresh my memory.
He's the co-head of DC Studios.
Oh, really? So he's not just the co-head of the Superman saga. He's the co-head of everything DC then. Everything DC Studios.
That's true. And you would think if he wanted DC to truly be a success, what would he do? He would green light something that is actually successful and has a following that people would actually want to see more of, right? He would have did something to allow the Ayer Cut to get released. He would have did something to allow Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. He would have did something to continue to expand DC as a brand rather than just pimping out his own crap and marketing pornography to children. But alas, we got the biggest man-child on the planet in charge of DC. So we can't. So what do we expect?
And to add to that, what James Gunn said about the Penguin winning 8 Emmys? Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Zip. Zero. The DC co-head, a DC show that he claimed was part of DC Studios, mind you. I remember he included the Penguin success as a good start for DC Studios. He said nothing about the Emmys.
You know why? You know why? Because Matt Reeves won't budge about folding the Batman into the DCU. That's why James Gunn's being like that. See, James Gunn wants it all to be about him. So unless you do what he wants and unless you agree with his direction, he doesn't care. And that's exactly why you have the co-studio head not caring about a super successful DC show. Superman and Lois was successful too, but that didn't stop him from canceling that either.
Nope, not at all, because it got in the way of his movie, despite the fact that DC is supposed to be a multiverse.
Unbelievable.
And that just goes to show where we are with DC. The fact that we had this successful thing and the co-head can't support it because he's focused on his own ego. Maybe this is why a director should not be ahead of a studio, because they might have a conflict of interest favoring their own projects over, other projects.
He's too much of a narcissist to be head of anything. I mean, a guy like him, you give him his own projects and you say, okay, James, you go in your little corner and play with yourself and make your own stuff and leave everybody else alone. And that's how you treat a guy like that. You don't put him in charge of the studio with another jackass and then expect the studio to be successful. This is ridiculous. I've gotten to the point where I don't think I really am starting to truly believe that this was the sabotage was the plan all along. Because number one, they're not making any money, and the only projects he's greenlighting is the crap that he wants to do, not stuff people want. He's not listening to the fans. He's not even probably not even listening to the shareholders or anybody else. He's just doing what he wants to do. It just feels like he knows that they're not going to renew his contract, so he's just greenlighting whatever he can, trying to get whatever he can out of the gate because he wants his sick, perverted, twisted, demented version of DC. And he doesn't know how many projects he's going to be allowed to put out, but he wants to do it while he can, while he's still empowered to do it. And that is why he could care less about any other projects. So unless you play ball with him and do what he wants you to do, the Penguin could be ranked the number one show in the world. It could be in the top 10 on the whole world and be number one. Yeah, it could. Are you kidding me? It could be 100 million. It could be 100 million, and James Gunn wouldn't acknowledge it because why?
He didn't create it.
He didn't create it, and not David Ayer, but Matt Reeves won't play ball and give the Batman to James Gunn.
100%. And
I still say, all these people that keep saying, the Batman 2, that's coming out. I sympathize with you guys, but I don't think so. I don't think you guys are going to get that movie. You think you're getting that movie, and you think that movie's going to go into production. But unless Matt Reeves cuts some type of a deal and gives James Gunn what he wants, James Gunn will find some way to make sure that movie does not happen. Don't put it past him. Because how many things has James Gunn greenlit? How many things has James Gunn said was coming out that are not coming out? That's not happening now. Go back and look at that original slate that James Gunn talked about. Go back and listen to what James Gunn said when he talked about how he was supporting Elseworlds projects.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And now, somehow, yet another DC flop, that Blue Beetle movie. Oh, Blue Beetle fits right in with Peacemaker. Yeah, of course Blue Beetle fits in with Peacemaker because it's another crappy project that would not have happened if it had not been for your goofy meddling. It probably would have been more successful if not for your goofy meddling. So now, yeah, of course you could put Blue Beetle in with Peacemaker. Why not?
Yeah,
because once Paramount buys WB, when we talk about that topic, once that happens, then James Gunn will be out anyway. So it doesn't really matter. His trauma version of DC will eventually come to an end. And when it does, we'll all be a lot better for it. I don't care if whoever buys it shelves DC for the next 10 years and doesn't do anything with DC, as long as James Gunn's projects that he has planned don't get to come out. I'll be happy. I don't care.
And which movie are you talking about being a tax write-off, Sin Havoc? Are you talking the Batman Part 2?
Yep. That'll be a tax write-off for sure. It probably won't even get made. They probably won't even start shooting because Matt Reeves is not budging on Batman in the DCU. He's not.
Well, actually, you just said this, and this may be Matt Reeves' only hope to getting the Batman Part 2 happening. This right here. Now this seems a lot more official now. Paramount has prepares bid for WBD, and I guess the whole entity, the whole enchiladas, from my understanding, not the split thing, but actually all of WBD, Warner Brothers, Discovery, the debt, all of it goes to Paramount. Zod, what was your thoughts when the news broke today about this?
Well, the stock prices went up for the first time in I don't know how long. So that tells you a lot in and of itself, right? And I personally, I don't care who buys it at this point, as long as it gets taken out from the hands of these incompetent buffoons. Oh, yeah. I'll admit, I never thought it was going to be Paramount because Paramount was having problems of their own. So I never thought it was going to be them. But at this point, I don't really care who it is. As long as it's not, the only exception I'll make, and the only one that I'll say is I don't want it to be Disney. Other than that, I don't care.
Yeah, and all love, Necron. We are definitely getting to what you said because what you said was very valid. But yeah, in terms of Paramount for now, here's the thing. If Paramount buys WBD, I'm going to say this right now. Keep HBO Max interface, okay? Keep that interface because that interface is much better than your app right now. Paramount Plus as an app interface sucks. Good
Paramount
content?
Plus, yeah,
Sure.
Paramount. They should actually keep the Max interface and just fold it all and make Paramount and Max into one big app.
Yeah, I agree because I like every time I try to watch Paramount Plus, like I love South Park. I love South Park. It's one of my favorite shows, but that's the only reason I have Paramount Plus. I cannot stand how much that app crashes. I mean, my God, if I took a sip of alcohol every time that app crashed, I would be wasted every single night. That's like, it's a horrible app. So I think they could really benefit from having access to a better app. Paramount Max, that's what it would likely be called. Paramount Max. And Paramount Max is meant to say. And oh yeah, Sin Havoc, I know. Like personally, they're not my hope for buying WBD, but I do agree with you, Zod. Anything's better than where we're at right now. Because here's what I do appreciate. I just want a company that wants to buy WBD to actually buy it and make it a success. The problem is Zazoff and Mikey Sutton himself, MV4E, Mikeyverse Forever, said from the beginning that Zazoff's plan buying it was to flip the company. He said this. This was his plan. And now this plan is coming to fruition. Paramount Plus has put in a bid. They want to buy WBD. And my hope that if Paramount does get WBD, that they actually want to that they actually want to make the company better. That is my hope. That they actually don't want to flip it, that they want to actually make it better, run it good. Because here's the thing. I hate Warner Brothers as a company, but I love Warner Brothers IP. I think Warner Brothers has some of the best IP out there. It's just run by incompetent people. That's just the reality of the situation.
Well, I think Paramount wants the WB library. I think that's what they want.
Oh yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised.
So if they want that library, they're not going to be looking to flip it because they know they have a lot. There's a lot to be gained. There's a lot that they could put out. There's a lot they could do with Warner Brothers that Warner Brothers themselves hasn't done with the company. So it wouldn't be I don't think it would be bad for Paramount to pick them up. I just think it would be bad if Disney picked them up. That would be the only company I would not want to get them. Otherwise, doesn't matter.
Could you imagine if South Park did an episode with Zack Snyder and the Snyderverse if this happened? That could technically happen.
Yeah, it could.
South Park and DC. I would totally love seeing South Park and Zack Snyder working together. Now, again, this is just a leap. I will admit that. But it would be cool to see. So, but I'm not going to lie. They're not my hope. They are not my hope for buying WBD. If I have two hopes, Universal or, as Necron was hinting at, Netflix. So I found someone account posted about this. I have their link in the description. I couldn't find a link to that exact article, but I posted a link with similar comments being made as in the screenshot. But apparently, hold on, let me take this down. Is basically prior to the news is that, let me see. He basically commented that Warner Brothers as an attractive M&A candidate. He mentioned Netflix is the most compelling buyer and that Netflix is also another good buyer for the company. And we know that, here's the thing. Paramount's not the only company that wants to buy WBD, if we're being honest here. Other companies want to buy it. And honestly, I could see Netflix would be a really good... Oh, yeah, Necron, he would be. Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're referring to. I think I know what you meant to spell. But yes. But if Netflix bought WBD, I mean, Zod, we were even talking about this privately. I remember with all this our conversations about Cell Snyderverse to Netflix. What if Netflix says, screw that, we're just going to buy the whole thing outright?
Right. I had a theory that might be something they might do because, again, Netflix could do a lot with the WB IP. They really could. That would be huge for Netflix.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, look, I'm a big supporter of sells the SGL to Netflix, sell Snyderverse to Netflix, but if this happens, one, I definitely think Cell was definitely a contributing factor to that campaign, but also that's the only thing that would make me change the hashtags. I'm not gonna lie, because if Netflix buys WBD, they already own the Snyderverse, so you can't sell the Snyderverse to them. They already own it. But that would be the only thing that would make me change this, not use the Cell hashtags anymore, because in a way, Cell already succeeded. They own the Snyderverse and everything else with WBD. But there was something we were talking about, Zod, that would be really great. Could you imagine? And we'll change the scenario from what we said, because this was before Superman came out. But could you imagine, Zod, if Man of Tomorrow is about to do its first day of filming, and now Netflix in charge of the whole thing, in charge of DC Studios, they come in and they say, we're shutting everything down. This isn't happening anymore. We're going in a different direction. And Gunny Poo and his friends have to pack it up.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That'd be a monumentous day.
And honestly, I just trust Netflix as a company more than I do Paramount. I don't know. I feel like Netflix, they've been making a lot of great strides recently. They support Zack Snyder. I think Netflix would be a great home for WBD.
Well, one thing that we know for sure, and this is the truth, if Netflix were to buy them, our prayers would be answered. For sure.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Because even if Netflix was like, okay, let's appease the Gunn fanatics and let Gunn do his little thing over here, but we're going to still finish the Snyderverse and we're going to do our own thing. I could see Netflix doing that. I could see Netflix doing that because Netflix is a company that would want to have goodwill all across the fandom. So I could see Netflix saying, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have the Gunverse over here, we're gonna have the Snyderverse over here, we're gonna do other DC projects too. I could see Netflix just going all out for real.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, Zodwriter, because even though I kind of joked about that whole shutting down WBD or DC Studios that day of filming, the reality is it doesn't bother me if we see other content of DC I'm not interested in, as long as we get the Snyderverse. Here's the thing. I can choose not to watch something. I can just not watch Man of Tomorrow. Although,
right,
you know how that went with Superman, though. My dad would probably make me watch it next time I visit him. So maybe not completely. I probably wouldn't completely get out of it. But if we get the Snyderverse, who cares? I just want to see the DC finish properly. That's all I want. And Netflix has already expressed interest in the Snyderverse. So they have a good working relationship with Zack Snyder, and now they just own everything outright. So again, once Netflix buys WBD, then hey, you know what? They bought the Snyderverse. We got ZSJL over at Netflix. They own the Snyderverse. So now we probably need new hashtags. I'm not gonna lie, we would need new hashtags because
I don't even think we would need hashtags because I think we would get everything that we wanted. I think we'd be fine.
You're probably right. And actually, you know what? I think you're right. I think an announcement would come very soon once the merger closes. So I think a lot would be happening. In fact, for all we know, stuff is happening behind the scenes. So who knows? So this leads us to a question. What this means for DC and the Snyderverse. I guess, Zod, what's your thoughts? What would this mean for DC and the Snyderverse?
Our chances are a lot better with this happening than they are now, because with the way things are with James Gunn right now and the way James Gunn only cares about James Gunn, our chances are 0, which is why Zach is making his new movie. He's doing The Last Photograph, and he's doing some other movie, and he's got other projects he's doing, because there's no chance at this point. But if this happens, I feel like the clock resets automatically.
Yes.
Because now we have a new company to talk to tell what we want. And if it's Netflix, they already know what we want. So
yeah, I agree 100%. I think this can only
Netflix is the best case scenario for us, for the Snyder fandom. That would be the greatest possible outcome for us. However, if it's not Netflix and it is Paramount or it is another company, now we have a new company to talk to. Now we have a new entity to deal with that might be more open to pleasing this fan base, because they see there's a demand for the movies. They see there's a demand for Zack Snyder. They see that there's a demand for a different direction with DC. Because they can lie all they want about the numbers for Superman and try to make James Gunn a hero and all that. But a new company coming in that's going to look at everything, they're going to look at the numbers, and they're going to have the real numbers, and they're going to be like, this wasn't a success. This was a flop. This failed. We need to do something different. And honestly, Bat Dan, I think Netflix is probably the only company that would probably be willing to split it down the middle and be like, well, we could still have Gunn do his stuff over here to please these guys, and we'll do the Snyderverse here in the Elseworld. I think anybody else other than Netflix would do exactly what you said. You know what? Oh, you were about to start filming Man of Tomorrow? You're out of here. We're done. That's not happening. We're moving on. And they would do their own thing and bring their own people in. And then DC would be off to a good start, because then DC could truly start fresh again under a new company, new people, new ideas, and there would still be a chance for the Snyderverse. But there isn't.
I agree.
There isn't right now because of James Gunn. So that's the thing. We need this to go through. And I don't care who buys it. I really don't. Because I think any of these options would be preferable to what we have right now. But I would say that Netflix is our best opportunity. Our biggest.
I agree, Zod.
That would be the golden ring.
And Sin Havoc, what do you mean one company has majority? Are you saying that it wouldn't be a full merge? It would be like something what Hulu was originally, where one company owns. Okay, so wait. Okay, I'm confused. Whatever. Point is, someone's buying WBD. I'm not getting bogged down in the semantics, but I would say for me, like, I'm going to say this right now at this moment in time. For me, it sells the issue to Netflix, sells Snyderverse to Netflix. Until if or when something actually happens, then a conversation can be had. But I think right now, I'm not relying on another merger to get the Snyderverse back. We did this with Discovery. We saw how that ended. I do think, though, that another company would actually. I agree, Zod. I think another company would be better than what we have now. I really do. As long as they actually want to buy WBD, to buy the company, to do stuff with the IP, not just to flip it, I think we're in good hands. I do believe that. I think Netflix would be the best option because I trust them the most. Universal would be cool too, because they could have DC in their theme parks, possibly.
Yeah.
But
plus you got Christopher Nolan over there. So that'd be good, because Christopher Nolan is we know whose team Christopher Nolan is on. So
it's an acquisition then, basically, Sin Havoc, not a merger. Okay, that's fine. Acquisition. I'm sorry, guys. Acquisition. So when this acquisition happens, yeah, I think there's so many possibilities. And here's the thing. Again, it's still sell for me because I don't want to give WB engagement in the meantime. And I still feel like no matter what, sells the best option. Because here's the thing, Paramount or Universal, they'll want to do their own thing. They won't want to necessarily do the Snyderverse, but if they see there's a chance to license off some projects to Netflix to make money, that I could see them doing. But yeah, so I think this can only be good for DC and the Snyderverse. I mean, look, I thought Discovery would be good for DC and the Snyderverse, but we saw how that ended. So could we be wrong? Possibly. But I would like to think that this time it's different. So I would say Netflix is the best bet, then Universal, then Paramount. That's kind of my ranking of it. But anyone's better.
Well, I mean, with the way our luck has been going with this, I would say that it'll most likely be Paramount. To me, it just feels like that's what it's going to be. But I would still, but like I said, I'm still kind of holding out hope that Netflix is going to swoop in and do the right thing, because that would be great.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe even if Paramount buys Warner Brothers, they might still be willing to sell the Snyderverse at least, or license it, whatever semantics you want to use, to Netflix. They'd be like, hey, we need to figure out our plan. We're going to license out these projects to you, make some money in the meantime, while we actually take time to formulate our plan. So, who knows? But at the end of the day, we can only hope for the best. And for me, my approach is still sell ZSL to Netflix, sell Snyderverse to Netflix until if or when something changes. Because I still feel that's our best bet for the Snyderverse. But again, if Netflix buys WBD, that's another conversation, because then they will already own the Snyderverse. So, but yeah, I think there's some great things on the horizon, and I think Matt Reeves would benefit too. I think they would be much more likely to continue his universe than Gunny Poo. At least do a Penguin season 2. Because they know Penguin's a success. So, great things. At the end of the day, great things. And thank you again, Zod, for coming on this channel. Anything you want to shout out?
Well, I just want to say, be on the lookout. One Punch Dan is nearly upon us.
Oh, interesting thoughts in Havoc. Okay. I cannot wait for some One Punch Dan, though. Hopefully Netflix gets DC. Or at least whatever Netflix gets the Snyderverse, at the very least. But anyways. And that's a good point, DC. So, again, we'll see. But coming up for... Thank you again, Zod, for coming on. I cannot wait for One Punch Dan, and I will continue to shout out the 1PDCU. And other than that, the Spider-Man movies are coming out in theaters soon, so Sox and I will be reviewing those. And Batman Day is coming up next week, and I will be doing a Batman Day stream. I don't know. I have an idea about
Big
what
surprise.
I'm doing. Come on. Batman Sauce has to do a Batman Day stream, and I would
never strike you as the guy to do a Batman stream. I mean, that just seems so out of character for you and your channel.
Hey, I cover DC on my channel and Batman. I am Bat-Dan after all. But yeah, a Batman Day stream will be coming up, and there's a reason why I didn't talk about the RIP trailer, the Ben Affleck's Netflix movie. I wanted to save that for Batman Day, because he's our Batman, and that seemed like, for what I have planned, it just seemed to fit more with that stream. So be on the lookout. And I will be supporting the Make the Batfleck Movie trending event that day, too. With the sell hashtags and Make the Batfleck Movie written out. But that'll be the plan. So be on the lookout for that. And guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great discussions such as these. And thank you again, Zod, for coming on this channel. Any final words?
Nope.
Have a bat-tastic day.